welcome back to Algebra 1, Lesson 2. So you should be doing this lesson on Tuesday because Monday's lesson was review, okay? All right, so we are starting sets and surface area, Lesson 2 of your Algebra 1. You should be on page 29 of your book. Go ahead and pause the video and open that up if you don't have it already. Okay, let's continue. So we are starting by talking about sets. Sets are used to designate a group of items. When you put it together into one group that's related, we call that a set. So right here I have an example of a set. Set A equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's those groups of numbers. Only those numbers are in set A, but that is all of set A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could also use words to designate this set. So you could say set A is the whole numbers 1 through 5 inclusive. That word inclusive just means it includes the numbers 1 through 5. So all the numbers in between 1 and 5. But a set is designated by these markings here. They're called braces. You might also hear them called brackets, but technically these are called braces. So you put a set inside those braces. Well, we have sets of numbers, and in our last lesson we started looking at sets of numbers, and I told you we'd come back to those, not our last lesson, the lesson before last. So here we are again. First, it's the set of natural numbers, counting numbers. Those are the ones that we already looked at, were your natural numbers. Remember, those are all the numbers that you count starting at 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. Those are all of your natural numbers. Okay, now we have whole numbers. Well, your whole numbers are all of your natural numbers, just add 0. So all of your natural numbers, just add 0. So think of whole like the word whole, like it's a hole in the ground, spelled without the W, but that's like a 0, right? A whole, 0. So whole numbers, you add the 0 to it. Integers. That's when you include the opposites of all of your natural numbers, when you include your counting numbers. Those are your integers. So our integers are all of our whole numbers, all of our counting numbers, and all of our negative numbers. And the dot, dot, dots in each of these sets indicates that it continues onward. So I know that the whole numbers, natural numbers start at 1 and keeps continuing on into infinity. Whole numbers start at 0 and continue into infinity. Integers continue into infinity into the negatives and continue into infinity. Whoops, I forgot my dot, dot, dot here. Let's try that again. Okay, they continue into infinity here on the positive side as well. Okay? So those are your integers, whole numbers, and natural numbers. Those are your sets of numbers. You will work with those as sets a little later on. So you might be thinking, why did I just learn that, Miss Ashley? Don't worry, you will work with that more later on. So now you need to be introduced to it, have it in your head. Okay, now we're going to move on to surface area. Woohoo! Your second favorite besides volume. Okay, surface area. Really, that's just the area of all the sides of your shape. Remember this box, me showing you this box before? So if I wanted to know the area of all of the faces, all of the sides of my shape, I'm asking to find the surface area. So you could find the area of one side, find the area of another side, another side, another side, another side, another side, all of my sides, and add them together. But that's actually pretty time consuming. There is a faster way to do this. It's very, very simple. And all you have to do is follow this formula. Surface area equals the perimeter of the base times the height plus 2 times the area of the base. Let me remind you why that's true. So here's my shape, right? Okay. The base, I'm going to say, is this shape. There's 2 of them, and they're the same size. Okay, right? Same size? So to find the surface area, now this only works for a right solid. Remember we talked about in our lesson on Friday that a right solid is an object whose sides are perpendicular to their base. Okay, so this is a right solid. My base is the same on the top and on the bottom. So as long as I find one base I multiply it by 2, and I have both together. So that takes care of my bases. Now for the rest of the faces of my shape, if I were to cut my shape right here and lay it out flat, it would just be one shape. It would be a rectangle. So to find the area of a rectangle, instead of finding the area of all 4 rectangles, you're just finding the area of it as one giant rectangle, okay? So to do that, you find the perimeter here, which would be the length, and the height, which would be the width, because remember that's the formula for the area of a rectangle. Length times width. So the length is the perimeter, laying it out as one giant rectangle, times the height, that's the width, okay? So that's why we find the perimeter times the height to find the area of all of the faces. And then multiply our base times 2 to find that area, and we add it together, okay? In part 2, we're going to look at our examples.